Good day, ladies and gentlemen. Today I'm going to be ranking all of the classic Sonic and modern Sonic stages from Sonic Generations. Please note that this list isn't going to include any of Shadow's levels from the new Shadow Generations. We'll get to that on another day. Sonic Generations is not only one of my favorite Sonic games, it's one of my favorite games of all time. I really do believe it fires on all cylinders, and pretty much all of the levels are absolutely incredible and so well designed. With that in mind, ranking the levels from worst to best was an extremely difficult task. There were loads of difficult decisions and last-minute swaps, and I'm sure that if I made this video again in the future, the list would probably look completely different. Please do keep in mind when watching that all of this is just my opinion, and of course, as always, I would love to hear yours. What are your favorite modern Sonic stages, and what are your favorite classic Sonic stages? Do you prefer classic Sonic, or do you prefer modern Sonic? Let me know in the comments below. And with all that finally out of the way, let's get straight into the list. In last place, we predictably have classic Planet Wisp. Whilst I do think the forest section at the beginning is pretty well designed, though not super enjoyable, this level just doesn't have anything redeeming it or anything really interesting going on here. It's a huge slog to the end with constant forceful use of the Spike Wisp, which is fine, it works okay, but it just isn't super fun, and the level becomes obsessed with using it over and over again. This level gimmick of having the wisps involved just doesn't work in the context of this game, and I just don't think it made for an enjoyable level. Planet Wisp is the only zone in the game that I would say I avoid replaying when possible, and genuinely didn't enjoy going back to for the sake of this video. Coming straight after is Modern's Planet Wisp. The only reason Modern Sonic ranks even slightly higher than Classic Planet Wisp is because of how much I like the forest section at the beginning. This is genuinely really enjoyable to replay, but once you get to the factory, you just don't want to continue. Modern Sonic's factory section is worse than Classic Sonic's factory section, and the Rocket Wisp does absolutely nothing to add to the game. You go to a section, press Y, and you watch Rocket do its thing. Why they didn't have one of the other Wisps come back like Drill is beyond me, because Rocket has no utility. You press Y, and that's it, and the game, again, becomes obsessed with this gimmick. It's a terrible level to finish off the game, and although it's absolutely gorgeous looking, the factory isn't very interesting visually either, so there really isn't anything going for Planet Wisp here. I do want to stress that from this point on, I don't think any of the levels are bad, just some are much better than others. Modern Chemical Plant is a really interesting one. This one gets a lot of hate from fans. I personally can really appreciate how it has some of the most well-hidden secret paths of any level in the game. However, I don't think those paths themselves are rewarding. It's really satisfying to find them and to go through them, but how far they actually get you into the level just doesn't feel worth how much work they take. Beyond this, the 3D sections can feel very on rails, and the 2D sections either feel really satisfying because you're avoiding the water, or really, really bad because you're in the water. There's just not a whole lot fun about this stage, and for me, most modern Sonic stages have what I like to call a set piece, you know, running away from the truck, going down the building and getting chased by police. Chemical Plant doesn't have anything like that. There's no set piece for modern Sonic here. The closest thing is the factory just randomly starts blowing up for seemingly no reason. It's just not interesting thematically, and I just think there's so much more they could have done here considering how good Chemical Plant actually is. I would argue that classic Seaside Hill is the most forgettable level in the entire game. Planet Wisp is memorable for how bad it is, and Modern Chemical Plant is memorable for those really good hidden paths. and for how annoying the water sections are. Here though, there's just not really anything going on. There's nothing really going for or against it. Yes, it's a water level, and we all know that Sonic sucks in water, but I think this level handles it really well. But it just doesn't do anything spectacular. Getting chased by the giant rolling bit of concrete at the end also doesn't really feel super exciting. The platforming is fine, it's all really well designed as always, but I don't know, you get to the end of the level and you kind of forget everything you just did. In fact, going to record audio for this, I completely forgot what this level is about, what's in this level. It's very, very forgettable, and that's the biggest problem with classic Seaside Hill. I would argue that classic Chemical Plant plays it very safe and kind of stays very true to how Chemical Plant actually is in Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And that definitely works for it, because classic Chemical Plant is incredible. Here though, I think other levels just do things much better and in much more exciting ways. This level's playing it very, very safe, and that's totally fine, and the music, my word, the music here is so, so good. It's not a terrible level, it's not an amazing level, but it is a fun ride. Very fun to replay, just definitely very far from being my favorite. Modern Crisis City summarizes the greatest strengths and most crippling weaknesses of modern Sonic's gameplay in Sonic Generations. The opening 3D section is one of the best in the game. It is so, so good. The ending set piece with the tornado is okay, it's pretty exciting, but it's definitely not the best set piece. However, the middle 2D section is what brings this level so far down for me. The stomping gimmick on the lava elevated platforms is such a bore, and I'd actually argue that even the Wisps are somewhat more interesting. That's a bold statement though, I'm very aware of that. The 2D sections in Crisis City are just a bore. They are so slow, they are so clunky, and it truly holds this level back from being like top 5. That's how good the 3D section of this level is. I absolutely adore everything else about this level, but that 2D section seriously holds it back with its slow, repetitive, clunky gameplay. I actually enjoyed going back to Classic Speed Highway a lot more than I was expecting. I don't really have very many fond memories of this level, but I had a blast coming back to it. I do think its greatest weakness though is how stop and start a lot of the platforming is. However, I do think there are enough moments where you can build some good momentum that really save the level from being lower down here. There's nothing really standing out here that could raise this level up to higher parts of the list. But I do think it's fine, it's fun, and I really enjoyed coming back to this one. Classic Sky Sanctuary, what an absolute treat this was to come back to. It has some fantastic platforming design, and the music is of course fantastic. Visually, I actually hold the opinion that Sky Sanctuary is one of the least interesting levels in the game. Not to say that it looks bad, I just think there are many more interesting environments that Sonic goes through than Sky Sanctuary. My biggest issue with classic Sonic's Sky Sanctuary is those stupid motorized sort of floating platforms that you need to run along. I know it's only in one part of the level, but that part of the level seriously slows everything to a halt, and it is just such a terrible mechanic. Beyond that though, classic Sky Sanctuary is an absolute treat. Very, very fun with some amazing platforming. I wish that 3 of the 5 red star rings weren't locked to the very, very end, but beyond that, this level's very, very fun. We are in the top 10 now, and we are reaching the point where it is becoming impossible to rank these levels. Classic Green Hill is the perfect opening to this game. It does everything right. It is a very safe level, but I'm not really going to discredit it for doing that, because it kind of has to be. It's the first level of the game. Green Hill Zone shows off Generations' graphics perfectly. It's the best looking level in the game, in my opinion. It is just full to the brim with eye candy. Amazingly lush green pops from every part of the level. It is incredible how good this game is capable of looking. In terms of actual gameplay, it's great. It's a perfect introduction to classic Sonic. I think fans of the Genesis games are going to come back here and be very, very impressed with how well classic Sonic resembles those games, even if the physics are slightly off. Especially in the new game, I've actually found that this level's really glitchy. I'm not going to discredit it because I didn't have any of these issues in the original, but just something I found interesting when replaying this. And I do think that fans that never really experienced the Genesis games are going to come to this and be like, whoa, this is really cool. It's nice to experience Sonic's roots. It plays it very, very safe, but it's a fantastic introduction to a fantastic game. Modern City Escape. I see a lot of people put this very, very high on their list, and for some people it's their absolute favorite level in the game. I completely get it, I really, really do, and I know I'm going to get some crap for putting it number 9. However, try and hear me out on this one. The snowboarding section, yes, is absolutely amazing. It's one of the best sections of the game. It's just pure Sonic fun. After that, you get some great 3D sections, some amazing 2D sections, but then it's just straight into the truck chase, and the truck chase takes up a lot of the level, and the first time you play it, it's like mind-blowingly good. But upon replay, you really start to fall out of love with the truck chase, and you kind of just wish there was more of the normal level, because it's so damn good, but it's so frustratingly short because of how much of the level is taken up by the truck chase. Because of that, I just think there are better levels that hold a more sustained high quality throughout. It's not to say that this level isn't good throughout, it's very, very good. I really do just think that upon playing the level so many times, you just sort of get kind of bored of the truck chase. I think that's really my main issue with it. But beyond that, I really, really do understand why people think this is their favorite. I don't see many people talk about how good Classic Crisis City actually is. I love this stage so much. It's definitely Classic Sonic's hardest level, in my opinion, and I think it's a fantastic challenge. Now, while I am praising it for its difficulty, because I think it strikes a great balance, I hate some of the enemy placement. It's very cheap, and it just increases the difficulty in a really, really bad way. But beyond that, I think the platforming is genuinely really well designed to really strike a good balance of fun, yet very challenging. I really, really love this one, and I think it deals with the tornado set piece better than the modern Sonic level did. I think having it sort of actually affect Sonic's gameplay was a really interesting thing. And, oh my gosh, the music. I love it. I absolutely love the music in this level. Classic Rooftop Run is the kind of level you play and just have a smile on your face the entire time. It's just fun, and it's got so many amazing details. I love the addition of confetti and hot air balloons in the background. I love the enemy animations, just especially when they hit you and they do a little happy dance. It's all just so much fun, and I know these kind of details are seen throughout the game, but for me they really stand out in Rooftop Run. With that being said, Classic's portion of this level it's just really well designed. I just think there's a lot going on. It strikes a really, really good balance of difficulty. I think there's some great challenges here, and nothing really comes across as frustrating or gimmicky. And the set piece at the end, while not my favorite, is fun to watch, and it doesn't really feel gimmicky or restrictive on the gameplay. I think the parts of the city that classic Sonic goes through compared to modern really stands out in this level. I think it's great that they explore very different parts of the level, and even when they get to a familiar location such as the clock tower, I love that they approach this extremely differently. While modern Sonic breezes through the clock tower, classic Sonic spends the second half of his level getting up the clock tower. I absolutely love it. The variation here, it really stands out. If you couldn't tell, I really like Rooftop Run, and it's from my favorite Sonic game of all time, so maybe I have a bit of a soft spot for it, but I think they really did it justice here. I think there were a lot of fans that were heading into Sonic Generations with this sort of preconception that they're going to love classic Sonic and absolutely hate modern Sonic. I think classic Sonic gameplay was sort of a safe bet, while a lot of people were super duper skeptical of modern Sonic. And it's for this sort of reason that I think modern Sonic's Green Hill stands out for all the right reasons. I think when you play through this level, all of your anxiety, all of your fear of what modern Sonic might have been like, it just all disappears because you realize just how incredibly well designed modern Sonic's gameplay is. The 2D sections here actually are really, really good. I am with the opinion that I don't think modern Sonic should have had 2D sections, because I think most of his 2D sections in the game really bogged down the gameplay. But here, I think they really, really work. Yes, modern Sonic's Green Hill is a stupidly easy level with absolutely no challenge. But keep in mind, this is the introduction to modern Sonic. So there was a lot of anxiety coming into this, and I just think this level feels incredible. It does everything right to introduce you to modern Sonic and just say, hey, we didn't mess it up. This is going to be a bloody good game. Strap yourself in. I absolutely adore this level. Modern Seaside Hill just stands out for how well designed the 3D platforming in this level is. The amount of alternate paths that there seems to be here is incredible. You could play this level 5 times and it would probably feel like a different experience every single time. The only thing that kind of holds this section back is I'm not a huge fan of the 2D sections. Whilst you can breeze through them if you know what you're doing, I do think it really bogs down the gameplay in this instance. Another thing I'm not a huge fan of is the kart section / the turtle section. While the kart is initially like, oh, this is awesome, upon replay, it's kind of like, just feels more gimmicky than anything else. And I think if you're down by the turtles, it's fun, but it feels a lot slower than the karts. So in your head, it's kind of like, do I want a slower but better designed platforming challenge, or do I just want to mess around in a go-kart for a little bit? Beyond that, I think this level is absolutely incredible. And I totally understand why, for a lot of people, this is their favorite modern Sonic level, and it's one of mine. In fact, I was very, very tempted to put this one a lot higher, and I'm sure on a different day, this could have even been my number one. I mentioned at the very start of this video that there was a few last-minute swaps. This was one of them. Modern Speed Highway was actually my number one pick for the longest time, and I brought it down to number 4. I absolutely love this level. I think it is gorgeous. I think it has some of the best 3D sections, and I just think the alternate paths that you can do and the hidden secrets of this level are mind-blowing. Being able to get onto the chopper at the very start, being able to get back onto the rocket at the end. It's insane that even after so many years, I'm still learning new things about this level. Incredible. I had to be honest with myself though, and I had to be a bit brutal to this level. The 2D sections, particularly the first one, seriously just sends everything to a complete halt with its stop-start platforming, and I just didn't think it was fair to put that level at number 1 when it stands out as having my biggest issue with modern Sonic, and that being how slow the 2D sections can feel. And this level just doesn't really do that very well, even though I love everything else about this level, and I will replay this level over and over again. I can't, in good faith, put it at number 1 because I just know it has those issues, but in my heart, maybe this is my number 1. Classic City Escape is the best that Classic Sonic has to offer in this game. It nails everything. It is an incredibly fun stage that nails its gimmicks. The fact that the truck chases you throughout the level is such a great idea to really differentiate it from modern Sonic, and I think this works a lot better. The truck isn't a gimmick here, it actually affects the level, and you have to be smart with how you play the level as a result. I also think the skateboarding is just such a delight. When I see Classic Sonic just grinding on a skateboard, it brings such a huge, giddy, little nerdy smile to my face. I just love it so much, and it becomes my ultimate goal to keep Sonic on that skateboard as long as humanly possible. This level is such a joy to replay, and I really don't think it has any low points. It is the best Classic Sonic stage by far, in my opinion. It nails everything, and of course, the music is incredible. Modern Sky Sanctuary is just such a joy to replay. It has some of the best level design, some of the best 3D platforming, and some of the best alternate routes in the entire game. It is such a joy. Each time I replay it, I want to do it a different way. There's not a set path that I go along every time. It's like each time I play this level, it's a different adventure, and I love that. Yes, this level doesn't have this great big set piece like other modern Sonic levels do, but this level goes, set piece? You think I need a set piece to be amazing? Check out this sick level design. Check out the amazing speed you can get here. Check out the great 2D sections that are actually pretty fun. I don't need a set piece. And that's exactly right. Sky Sanctuary just nails the basics, but it doesn't just nail the basics, it exemplifies why Sonic's core design is just so fun. I love this level, absolutely love it. And finally, Modern Rooftop Run. Wow, what a level. This is just an adventure. From start to end, it is non-stop. There is no time to breathe here. It is non-stop action, non-stop speed, but you have to earn that speed, and that's what I really, really like about it. It's not just, hey kids, let's press X to win. And that's one of my favorite things about Generations as a whole. It's not really an on-rails experience. It's a platforming challenge with the reward being speed. This level presents that perfectly. Even in its 2D sections, you can absolutely blast through these as long as you know what you're doing, and it's insanely rewarding to feel like you've earned the speed, earned that experience, and earned that level knowledge. This level is also just insanely gorgeous, and the music is one of the best tracks in the game. This level truly just feels like it's a celebration of everything that works for Sonic. Even the set piece, whilst being very simple in design, at least doesn't overstay its welcome like the truck does in City Escape. I just love everything about this level, and yes, on a different day, maybe something else would have been my number 1. Maybe Speed Highway would have been my number 1. Maybe Classic City Escape would have been my number 1. It's so hard to say what the best level in this game is, because so many of them are just so close to perfection. And let that really be the highest compliment to this game. And really let it justify why it's one of my favorite games of all time. I adore this game, and this level just presents every single reason why. And with all that being said, here is the final rankings for the classic stages, the modern stages, and the overall rankings. Thank you all very, very much for watching, and as always, let me know what your opinions are. Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Do you prefer classic Sonic? Do you prefer modern Sonic? Me personally, as you've probably seen, I do prefer modern Sonic, but I absolutely love classic Sonic as well. Let's share our love for this game. Let's have a conversation. Let me know what your thoughts are. And until next time, have a bloody good one. Take care, guys.